Boxing is a sport of legends, fighters who have risen above their peers and left a timeless mark on the sport. Today, we are counting down the top 7 greatest fighters of all time, fighters who not only dominated their era, but shaped the very fabric of the sport itself. Hey fight fans, welcome back. Today we will be ranking the best of the best and finding out who is really the greatest of all time. I've ranked this list not only based on talent, but also on resume, longevity, and legacy. Now, of course, if you disagree with me, make sure to put your top 7 in the comments below and get that conversation going. So let's not waste any more time, guys. Let's get straight into it. Starting off our list at number 7 is Lennox Lewis. Lennox Lewis cleaned out one of the deepest heavyweight divisions in boxing history. In the 90s, the heavyweight division was packed with talent, and Lewis fought everyone and beat everyone. Amassing 17 world title fights, Lewis beat the likes of David Tua, Evander Holyfield, Ray Mercer, Tommy Robinson, Mike Tyson, Frank Bruno, Vitaly Klitschko when he was way past his prime, and many, many more. The only guy of his era who he didn't face was Riddick Bowe, who he not only beat in the amateurs. Riddick Bowe also famously avoided Lennox Lewis by tossing the WBC belt in the bin. What's even more impressive is Lewis only had 2 defeats in his career, and he avenged them both in the rematches, knocking out both Oliver McCall and Hasim Rahman the second time of asking, with the perfect blend of technical skill, power, and always having that dog in him. Lennox Lewis stands tall as one of the greatest heavyweights of all time. At number 6, we got Willie Pep, the master of defensive boxing. Over his extraordinary 26-year career, Willie Pep racked up an unbelievable 229 wins. He was so good defensively, he once won a round without having to throw a single punch, purely by making his opponent miss and showcasing his exquisite ring generalship was enough for him to get the vote from the judges without even having to hit his opponent. A 2-time world featherweight champion, holding the belt for a combined 6 years, once going on an unbelievable 63-fight unbeaten streak, beating multiple Hall of Famers while doing so. Pep was known for his ability to frustrate even the best fighters. Today, Floyd Mayweather is looked at as the master of defensive boxing, but Willie Pep was decades ahead of his time and laid out the blueprint for people like Floyd Mayweather and Pernell Whitaker to become future defensive greats. His blend of slick movement, light and fast reflexes, and ring generalship made him one of the toughest fighters to beat in all of boxing history, and he more than deserves a place on this list because of that. At number 5, we have Harry Greb, also known as the Pittsburgh Windmill. Harry Greb was one of the busiest and toughest fighters in history, fighting over 300 times in a career that spanned 2 decades. What makes Greb truly unique is his record of beating 16 Hall of Famers, more than any other fighter in history, with names like Gene Tunney, Mickey Walker, Tommy Loughran, all victims to Greb's relentless style. Another one of his greatest achievements was going an insane 45-0 in a single year back in 1919, and although being a natural middleweight, he often made a habit of consistently beating the best heavyweights of his day. Despite fighting most of his career with impaired vision, Greb's unrelenting, forward aggression style just overwhelmed his opponents. One of the greatest tragedies in boxing history is the fact that there is no surviving footage of Harry Greb to this day, but by watching the footage of fighters we know he beat, as well as glowing testimonies from his peers, his ability to constantly beat the best fighters of his era across multiple weight classes is more than enough to solidify Harry Greb as one of the best fighters to ever step into the ring. At number 4, we have the Brown Bomber Joe Louis. Louis dominated the division like no one before or after him. He held the heavyweight title for an unprecedented 12 years and defended it 25 times, both of which are still records to this day. But it was his rematch with Max Schmeling in 1938 that truly transcended the sport and made Joe Louis a global icon. Back in 1936, Mike Schmeling handed Lewis his first ever defeat, but by the time the rematch rolled around, The world was on the brink of World War II, and the fight became a symbolic battle between Nazi Germany and the United States. Joe Louis destroyed Schmeling in just 2 minutes and 4 seconds, knocking him down 3 times before the fight was stopped. The victory, however, was more than just redemption for Joe Louis himself. It became a symbol of hope and unity, with Louis emerging as America's first ever black national hero, and then going on to have a full decade of unrivaled dominance. Joe Louis was one of the most technically sound and precise punchers in the history of the sport, a fantastic ring IQ, and unbelievable punching power. All this firmly puts Joe Louis in the upper echelons of boxing legends. At number 3, we have the relentless Henry Armstrong, possibly the greatest inside pressure fighter of all time. Armstrong did the unthinkable. He once held world titles in 3 different weight divisions simultaneously, back in an era where there were only 8 weight divisions. Holding titles in featherweight, lightweight, and welterweight. He also faced Seferino Garcia for the middleweight title, but was robbed with a controversial draw, meaning that if the judges didn't rob him, he would have been world champion simultaneously in half of all the weight divisions in boxing at the time. His high-pressure style and stamina were unmatched, overwhelming his opponents with a seemingly endless barrage of punches. Armstrong also defended his welterweight title 19 times, which is a record that still stands to this day, over 80 years later. Armstrong's achievement of holding 3 titles at once is one of the greatest achievements in boxing history. His ability to dominate multiple divisions with sheer grit and relentless aggression, as well as scoring 99 career knockouts, truly sets him apart as one of the sport's greats. At number 2, we have the greatest, Muhammad Ali. Known for his quick footwork, lightning-fast jab, and unmatched charisma, Ali truly revolutionized the heavyweight division, where he almost could dance around the ring like a middleweight, something no heavyweight before or since has been able to replicate. His victories over Sonny Liston, Joe Frazier, and George Foreman are some of the most iconic victories not only in boxing history, but in sports history. He also had 25 world title fights, beaten every credible name across 2 different decades, and there is simply not enough time in this video to cover everyone Muhammad Ali beat. His resume is that deep. A 3-time world heavyweight champion, Ali's legacy extends beyond boxing. He became a global icon, and I guarantee most of you watching this video would not be a boxing fan right now if it wasn't for Muhammad Ali. He more than deserves his title of the greatest, but narrowly misses out on this list to a fighter that even Ali himself said was better. But before we get to that, let's give a quick shout out to some legends that narrowly missed out on the list. Names like Sam Langford, Roberto Duran, Ezra Charles, Archie Moore, Larry Holmes, Roy Jones Jr., Sugar Ray Leonard, and Marvin Hagler all left their own mark on the sport and deserve recognition for their achievements. Boxing is a sport that is so deep and rich in history that there will always be a name that misses out, but I thought those guys in particular deserved a shout out. So now that's out the way, let's get to our number 1 pick. At number 1, we have the man who is rightly regarded as the greatest pound-for-pound boxer in history, Sugar Ray Robinson. Sugar Ray Robinson had a beautiful blend of speed, footwork, timing, reflexes, ring IQ, power, the heart, determination. The guy could literally do it all. He was the closest thing to a perfect boxer you will ever see. A 5-time world middleweight champion, Robinson once went on an unbelievable 91 fight unbeaten streak, virtually unbeatable in his prime despite consistently facing some of the best boxers in history. He also had the greatest ring IQ in boxing history. If you were lucky enough to scrape a win against him in your first fight, it was inevitable you were about to lose badly in the rematch once he had a chance to make adjustments to your style. Sugar Ray Robinson's influence on boxing is unmeasurable. He set the standard of what it meant to be a complete fighter, and although sadly most of the footage of Sugar Ray Robinson's prime years has been lost to time, even the footage that we do have of him past his best still looks like the greatest fighter to have ever boxed. That's how great Sugar Ray Robinson is. And many boxing legends, including Muhammad Ali himself, cite him as the greatest of all time. So for that reason, many more, Sugar Ray Robinson has to top this list. So that's my list of the top 7 boxers of all time. These guys define what it meant to be a bona fide legend. But like I said earlier, boxing is a sport that is deep in history. So I have no doubt most of you guys have completely different top 7s. Put them in the comments below. I will be reading all the comments and it'll be great to get a conversation going. And of course, if you like the video, hit that button, hit the sub button to help the channel out, help it grow, and stick around for future videos, whether it be historical boxing videos or more contemporary boxing news videos. We're going to be having it all in the weeks to come, guys. So make sure you stick around and stay up to date. But until then, guys, peace.